Up until a couple weeks ago, MrBeast was one of the most beloved people on YouTube. And then it all came crashing down. From possible presidential run to fighting for his career, MrBeast has been through the ringer these last couple weeks. And some people would say it is 100% warranted. Me, I don't think so. We're going to be going over this. We're going to be talking about this, just going over what's been going on and why I want to defend MrBeast. Now, before we get into it, don't hold me accountable for any of this stuff. This is all based on what I've heard. This is all hearsay, and none of this is anything that I've experienced or anything like that. I'm a YouTuber with under 50,000 subscribers. There's no way I'm going to be communicating with MrBeast or anyone even around him. Now, let's get into it. So basically, before we get into this, you got to understand that there's three different people involved in this, or three different entities involved in this. You got Ava Kris Tyson. We're going to be talking about that first. You got MrBeast, and then you've got MrBeast, the company. These three entities have been accused of everything from Syria to rigging game shows to possible war crimes. That's a lot. But who hasn't waterboarded themselves in the shower accidentally? Anyways, the first thing we've got to kick things off with is Ava Kris Tyson, a transsexual who used to be going by Kris Tyson, now is a female, I guess. I don't know exactly how all that works, but if she wants to be called by she, we're going to do that because this video is not about that. So here's what's going on. Ava Kris Tyson all of a sudden was exposed for messages that happened a couple years ago. When Ava Kris Tyson was 19, she or he, it was a he back then, but now it's a she, was messaging a person on Discord that was a 14. These messages were inappropriate and probably something you would never see someone like me sending or most people sending. They were inappropriate, period. The question is it grooming? And there's a few things that lead a lot of people to believe it's grooming, but I'm not even 100% sure on that. So, first off, if you're messaging young kids, like 14-year-olds, inappropriate jokes and you're 19, it is probably something you shouldn't be doing. It's not something that's really acceptable, in my opinion. But at the same time, I don't think it's grooming. At the time, 2016, there was a lot of edgy humor going on, and a lot of that edgy humor nowadays is not being seen with such a nice light. And that's part of the issue right now. Like, don't understand that 2017 was a whole different time. It was 7, 8 years ago, which is crazy, me mind blowing, but it was a long time ago. COVID hadn't even happened yet, and things were different. So edgy jokes were sort of the norm back then. Some of these edgy jokes did go above and beyond the pale, in my opinion. That said, I don't know if there's grooming. There's got to be intent for there to be grooming, in my opinion. But there was a meetup, which is a little suspicious, and Ava Kris Tyson does like boys. Also, Ava Kris Tyson admitted to liking Lolly, which it's ironic. I'm filming this video in Japan, hence the horrible mic, but they've admitted to liking Lolly. Whether this was an edgy joke or not is again questionable, but when you start putting all these pieces together, it gets shady. Now, the last piece of the puzzle, and the piece that's the most damning to me, is this artist I wasn't aware of. I'm still not quite sure. I'm not looking into this artist. I'm just going on what I've heard on YouTube because all you're going to see. This artist is called Shatman, I think, or Shatman, I think it is. So Shatman draws Lolly, which would be basically images that are sexualized of, I think it's supposed to be vampires who are 1,000 years old, but were turned when they were like 13, 14. You get the picture. It's some gross shit. Now, one of these images was hanging in Ava Kris Tyson's living room. MrBeast saw this image, gave it a weird look in a video, and the video continued on. Looking at it from a distance, it's very hard to tell what that image was. I haven't gone digging because when you go digging into a subject like that, it's something that I don't want. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it, so I'm not going to look into it. Basically, is what I'm saying. It's a cop out, but it is what it is. And I'm not an investigator. I hope there's real investigators actually looking into this, to be honest. But basically, it's very suspicious, right? Like if you start putting the pieces together, it looks bad for Ava Kris Tyson. MrBeast saw that picture, gave it a weird look, and the video continued on. A lot of people are saying that's MrBeast admitting that he's into this stuff too, or like supports it, or whatever, right? Like they're saying it's a bad look for him. I don't think it is. If you're walking into a room, you walk into your friend's house, they've got a weird picture hanging on the wall. You look at that picture, it is not obvious. You get what I'm getting at here? It's not obvious what it is. Like, that's not even what it is. It's just from what I've heard, it's like a scantily clad woman that's anime style. You go in Japan, you see these all over the place, right? Like, I walk into a book off, I see that. A book off's basically their discount stores. it doesn't strike me. I don't know anything about those characters. I don't know anything behind the animes. To me, it's a little salacious, I'd say, but it's not anything damning. I think MrBeast had that same thought, right? Like you go into your friend's house, there's a weird poster, you give it a weird look, and you're like, all right, this is just some guy being an edgelord. It's the internet. We're getting big on the internet. Maybe they think this is going to boost popularity. Whatever, let's go for it. Now, if you're Ava Kris Tyson, it's a little bit more damning because you got an image of someone who, but the idea is that they probably paid for this image. They paid for this picture. They paid for this poster, which means they have to have actually, well, supposedly they've actually like contacted this artist. And given that there's these communications and then this artist is doing a lot of very disgusting stuff, it's getting more and more damning, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Now, is any of this crossing the line into illegal? It really depends. This person that they were potentially grooming, did anything happen there? That person says no. You gotta believe the victim, right? Like, so if nothing actually happened, all of this is not great behavior. It's pretty disgusting behavior, to be honest, but nothing illegal. So that's the whole situation there. Mr. Beast saw the picture, gave it a weird look. 7 years later, he goes ahead and fires one of his best friends for all of this that has gone down. Now, we're going to start talking about the big issue here, the big issue that comes to MrBeast, and this would be Dogpack 404. So this is a person who basically does some interviews with another person who worked for MrBeast. This person's Jake Weddle. So Jake Weddle worked for MrBeast. He's involved with MrBeast. If you look, you can see him in videos and everything like this. But where it really gets questionable is when he starts talking about a video that he did with MrBeast that was never actually published. This video was basically a very ill thought out video that involved what a lot of people would consider torture. Lights were on for 24 hours. He had to run a marathon. A lot of things that on the surface, if you're in an editing room talking about it, they don't seem that crazy. But when you're looking at a person and thinking about the actual effects on a person, they're pretty crazy. You're basically making someone's whole internal clock go crazy. Then you're forcing them to run a marathon, and at the end, you've got to give up. And it severely, basically, it severely hurt this person's mental health. Okay, like it does sound like torture from their point of view. Whether or not this is actually the intent, that's what remains to be seen. And I really don't think it was. So here's the thing. I think what a lot of people are thinking is they're associating Mr. Beast, the company, with Mr. Beast, the person. If you look at the videos that Mr. Beast films, he's not actually in them for this long. If you look at Mr. Beast on YouTube, so you go to Mr. Beast, go to his channel, right? You can see his latest video, survived the 100 days in a nuclear bunker. The 100 days in a nuclear bunker. You see he does this video where he meets the contestants. They go out down into this hole, and periodically, every 10 days, he stops by and talks to these contestants, right? Possibly one of the reasons that he has two contestants in these 100-day videos instead of one is because well, he had one of these videos supposedly fail that had Jake Weddle in it. He did another one that got a lot of negative feedback. And basically, it turns out that having a person on their own for 100 days is probably not the best thing for someone's mental health. And it's not the most entertaining thing either. You don't want to watch someone go crazy online. You want to watch someone overcome some odds and come out with a victory. Watching two people do that is great because you get a little bit of tension and they can go off of each other. But if you watch these videos, what you tend to notice is that Mr. Beast, he does come by, but he doesn't come by a lot. Mr. Beast, the company, is 100% running this. You see Feastables all over it. They're filming it, they're doing it, they're watching it. But MrBeast, the actual CEO, the head of the company, he's not really coming in all that much. So what happens here is Jake Weddle, someone who MrBeast has worked with, we don't know how close they are. It seems like they've met, they've talked. Seems like MrBeast was worried he was going to sue him at the end of their whole relationship. But we don't know how close they were. I don't think Jake Weddle ever said they were best friends. At one point, he said he was positioned to be the number 4 in the cast, but that never happened. Whether or not that was MrBeast analytics, who knows what it was. We know that MrBeast runs a lot of things off analytics. We know that he is super focused on getting views, and we know that he really doesn't give people all that much time. He does seem like a bit of a jerk, but as someone who's worked with a lot of people who are top talents, more in the tech field than in the entertainment industry, they do tend to be assholes, just to be frank. The smarter a person is, the more likely they are to be an asshole to you, unless you are equally smart. MrBeast being mostly interested in analytics, and views and clicks and everything like that. He's personally said many times he wants to be the best YouTuber in the world, and like that's his goal, right? Be the best YouTuber. If that's your goal, you got to focus all your time on that. And it seems like that's what's happened. He's focused all his time on being the best YouTuber, and he's given a lot of the human elements of his company over to other people who are probably thinking that they're acting in his best interest, but they aren't. YouTube in general, it has a lot of crazy stuff. Have you ever seen that clip of FPS Rally Russia almost getting his head blown off? There's multiple clips. There's gun YouTubers who have millions of subscribers who have blown their arms off. There's all sorts of crazy shit happening on YouTube. In fact, there's one person who just tried to stay awake for like 12 days and the video got canceled at 10 because YouTube realized that that is really bad for someone's mental health. So, like, YouTubers in general are not these bodies where people talk about things and everything's just done in the safe environment. People throw things at a screen, they hope something sticks, and they hope that when it sticks, there's not too much shit sticking to them. In this case, MrBeast made a really bad call, and he basically, or MrBeast, the company, made a really bad call, it sounds like, and they basically potentially tortured someone by not turning off the lights for more than a 24-hour period. This person's day-night cycle got all messed up, and they said that they had huge damages from it. So this is apparently this is something that's not allowed in the Geneva Convention. However, MrBeast, the company, the person, whatever you want to say, was not at war with Jake Weddle. They were just trying to make an entertaining film. There's differences there, right? Like I said, if you accidentally waterboard yourself in the shower, you are not a war criminal. If you waterboard someone else, you might be. Now, if you accidentally water somebody else, it's just a weird sex. No, but like it's one of those things where it's like you gotta look at the person and the intention. And I think from what I know of working in companies and everything like that, I don't think MrBeast's intention was to torture someone. I think his intention was to make a really good YouTube video. I think he directed people to do that, and he failed to direct people to do it in a more or the most humane way possible. And that's what happens. It sounds like after that happened, there were steps that were put into play and everything continued. Now, I know what you're saying. Why didn't he give this person more money or anything like that? Who knows? But there's probably lawyers involved. There's probably a lot of stuff involved, right? If you're a lawyer and you're working for a company, and I'm sure MrBeast has lawyers, you tell them not to admit fault. That's the last thing a company wants to do. Like, the last thing you want to do as a company or person in general is to go up to someone and say, hey, I really messed up. I think I owe you $10 million. Can I give you that money? Because if this person takes you to court and they've got some sort of record that you said this, they can ask for a lot more, but they're almost guaranteed that 10 mil, right? Like, you can't do that. So Jake Weddle apparently walked away with like something like $100,000, he says. But there's also some other crimes and some more disturbing crimes that were talked about. Now, for me, there's rigged lotteries and not even rigged lotteries. There's like gambling sponsorships that potentially or didn't. I like. There's a lot of little things, right? There's like FTC violations and all sorts of stuff like this. But if you look at it, that happens all over the board. Casey Neistat got fined for using a drone in New York City. That is actually like really like not something that New York City or anyone wants in general. Like Casey Neistat flying a drone, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but if everybody did it, there'd be a lot of drone collisions and a lot of people that would have drones dropping on their heads, which is not what you want in New York City or anywhere in the world. Now, a lot of these violations happen in YouTube. And it's one of those things of just in tech, there's generally this idea of make mistakes and fail fast. And this is what you get. This is what you get when you approach things with this attitude. But if you overregulate things, you get a place where nothing can happen. So there's this middle ground that we're trying to hit. Back in the day, YouTube used to be very edgy. People used to be able to get away with saying a lot of stuff. If you go look at any YouTuber, including myself probably, who's been around for a while, there's some videos that probably wouldn't really get published today. There's some things that were said, some slang that was used that probably wouldn't be used today. But that's society. That's how things change. And with the internet, things are changing faster. Should we hold someone accountable for something they said in 2013 and look at it with 2024 standards? I don't think so, but it is what it is. So, well, let's get back on topic. Basically, MrBeast, the company, is making mistakes, failing fast, and doing as many iterations as possible. And that's how you succeed. That's why this company succeeded, but it's also why things like this have happened. They should definitely be held accountable for stuff like that. But I don't think this is MrBeast, the person. I don't think this means that MrBeast doesn't want to save a million kids in Africa or cure blindness. I think that for Mr. Beast, this is just a means to an end in a way. Or this is a way to get to the point that he wants to get to. And he wants to be the best YouTuber possible, but to do that, you don't only need to get the most clicks. You need to get the most clicks and send the best message. And I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to send an uplifting message. For instance, YouTube loves him so much. If you Google Dogpack 404, you get these videos, right? But if you Google Mr. Beast drama, let's see what pops up. You've got this video here. Mr. Beast is finally done for. Allegations. You got a lot of these videos here with a lot of views. I'm going to be honest. Like, that's one of the reasons I'm making this video. It gets a lot of views, but also I do want to talk about this because I think Mr. Beast in general is a really good human. And I think he sets a really good example for people. As someone with kids, when your kids are watching someone on YouTube or they're watching a video, you've got to pay attention because those send messages. And despite the issues with his videos and how they're filmed and everything like this, a lot of them send really good messages. I mean, I don't think staying in a nuclear bunker is a big deal, but if you go to Mr. Beast, you'll see a lot of his videos are actually really good things. He built 100 houses and gave them away, protecting Guyana. Like a lot of these aren't as good as I thought. But if you look at some of his channels, if you look at Beast Philanthropy, this is just rebuilding villages, giving family a full year's salary, schooling hundreds of there's a lot of really good stuff happening, and that's something that you don't see many YouTubers doing. Now, going back to it, if you look at Mr. Beast, you're gonna see all these videos. 10 million views, 255 million views. This is for Mr. Beast 3 years ago. This one's 4 weeks ago. Look at Dogpack 404. 11 million views in 6 days, 13 million views in 2 weeks. These two videos are probably some of the biggest videos on YouTube right now. He has 568 subscribers, and you don't see him at all in the search bar when you search for Mr. Beast. You can search Dogpack 404 and you'll find it. But if let's try searching this. I worked for Mr. Beast. That should pop up. He's not even top there, right? You'll see 224 here, 2.4 here. His video's 3 down with 13 million views. That's crazy to me. That is interesting. But you can see the channel's not completely blacklisted, but it feels like there's definitely a little bit of a little bit of shade there. Now, the trending page and all that being curated isn't that new, I think. Anyways, getting back to it. Now, all these allegations are bad, and if you're doing something that is illegal or goes against FTC guidelines, as a company, as a YouTuber, as a person, you should be fine. You should face the consequences. But none of this is career ending, in my opinion. None of this is something that a lot of beloved YouTubers haven't done. And failing fast, this is just part of how it goes. The thing that's most damning to me is this right here. I'm gonna blur out this name, but you have another molester, and this person was supposedly in Mr. Beast videos. This person goes by the name of Delaware. And the reason they go by Delaware in Mr. Beast videos is because supposedly they were banned from going to Delaware because of a molestation or something case involving a child. This is the most damning. This, in my opinion, there's two things that I think are the most damning. Two accusations that are the most damning. This one is the most damning. Second most damning, I'd say. Or actually, this is the most damning, I'd say, because if the nickname's true, Delaware is a nickname. And that is a nickname that was given because this person was a predator and not allowed to go into Delaware. And then Mr. Beast and the gang are calling this person Delaware on a video. It's how do you call someone by a nickname and not know the genesis of that nickname? It could happen, honestly. I've had that happen. There's people that were introduced to me as a name, and I just called them that forever. And then eventually I learned that's not their name, that's just a nickname. It can happen. But if you're hiring this person, if you do background checks, and a lot of companies actually don't do background checks. So that doesn't not doing a background check, it doesn't surprise me as much, okay? Like, not doing a background check doesn't surprise me because a lot of companies don't do that. It's something that everybody claims they do, but really not many companies do it. I'm I'm on the hiring side. I've asked people, "Do you actually background check these?" And most of the time they say no. Now, what's the most damning here is that The person's called the nickname Delaware. That's where this happened. You can see victim's age, description. Like, it's on one hand, I don't know why you'd call someone that. Um, this is this is a hard one because all the people around, right? You got all these people around calling someone Delaware. Could it be because they're from Delaware? Maybe. Is it possible that he had no idea of this conviction? It is. I think it is. But is it likely? I don't know. According to what people are saying, that they were calling this person Delaware because they weren't allowed in Delaware. I don't think that's the truth. Actually, I don't think you can be banned from a state for a crime that you committed unless you're on the run from the law. And from what people posted, it doesn't seem like this was the case. It seems like this person had served their time and you know been let free. I don't I don't think they should have. I think for crimes like that, you should go to jail for life. To me, a person like that is subhuman. I'm just gonna call it like I see it. Basically, the question remains though. Did he know about this? How did someone get a nickname Delaware? This is what I wanted to dive into because this is the one that fucks with my head, right? The name Delaware. I don't think you can get that nickname because you're banned from a state because I don't think you could get banned from a state just for that crime. You'll get arrested, you'll go to jail, but unless you're on the run from the law, they're not going to let you out of jail and say never come back here again. That's not really how the legal system works. Like that's vigilante justice. That's an idea that doesn't really exist in this current age. That said, how does the nickname Delaware come about? It could be this person's from Delaware. They don't really have an address. They just say out of state jurisdiction. Like, hmm, I don't know. Hmm. That's the thing. It's how do you get that nickname? It could be because you come from Delaware, right? And later on, someone's crafting this story because they found this person's dirt, and then they decided, hey, this is why he's called Delaware. It could be. It's hard to know. It's hard to know. That said, all of this said, this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good because you got this guy accusing this guy Delaware of some stuff, and based on criminal records that people have dug up, it seems like it's true. And then you got him saying that the nickname Delaware comes from the fact that this guy was a molester, like I don't child predator, let's say. This, or maybe I don't know. It sounds like that this whatever happened, molestation, and the fact that they have a victimization, like it's not a good look. And then if they knew about this, that's pretty damning. If you know that this is going on and then you hire this person to have them around kids, I think that is extremely damning. I'm all for giving second chances, but there's certain crimes, there's certain things that you can do in this life that I don't think there is a second chance for you. And that's just me. Maybe the company, the person's more forgiving. Maybe this person just lied on their resume. Maybe they lied on their resume. At some point, someone figured out what had actually gone on because they looked at a registry. At some point, it came to the company's attention and this person was fired. We won't know until we get a statement from MrBeast. It could be that this person was found out later on and they were eventually fired for this. It could be that, in the dog pack video, when they're talking about this, it's just knowledge that wasn't known to Jake. It's possible that this was just something that he didn't know about. Now, all that said, there's one other thing that sort of it bugs me. In the back of my head, it's like, oh, there's another employee. I think this was could be wrong. I think this was H3 H3. Someone was interviewing them. I saw the clip. And this employee says that there was someone back in the day when edgy jokes were being made, there's some edgy jokes made about someone's kid and they kept being made. And eventually it got to a point where this person pushed someone into the water for making such a joke. And later that person was fired the next day, basically. That is a failure, I think, as a company, 100%. But MrBeast is a person, I feel like that has to be held against you, right? Like if you have a company with 10 million employees, if you're Jeff Bezos, you don't need to know why everybody gets fired. But if you've got a company that's smaller, I don't think MrBeast's company is that big. Like I think he would know the reason that everybody got fired. And if someone got fired from pushing someone in the water, the question would be why. And then if it comes out that it's this person's saying stuff about someone's kid, how can you fire someone for that? To me, that is all of this when you start stringing it together. it gets bad. That is a really bad look. Now, all of this could be a failure as a company. If a company isn't structured correctly, maybe this person got fired. Maybe Mr. Beast asked why. Maybe someone said, well, we don't know. He just did something inappropriate. And that's that. And he trusts the person that told him, and that's it. It's hard. Again, it's very hard because you don't know the connection between Mr. Beast and Mr. Beast, the company. You don't know how connected he is with all the goings on in the company. If you look back to Beast Burger, that was one thing that he discontinued because he had a really hard time regulating the quality of it. He said that in interviews. When he talks to people, he says, hey, I started Beast Burger. It looked like it was going good. The numbers look good from what he was saying. Or like he seemed like it was a success, he thought, until he realized people were getting lackluster products and he didn't want people to have that experience, so he discontinued the company. There's videos that he scraps because the videos didn't go well. Question is, if he's a YouTube mastermind, wouldn't he know the videos weren't going well early on? And the answer is he probably would, but if he's not that involved in these videos, how could he? If you look at his production schedule, if you look at what's happening, a lot of the time when you look at YouTube failures as companies, like YouTuber company failures, I think a lot of it happens because the creators lose touch with the company because they are disjointed from what's actually going on and they don't really have that big of an insight into this because we're taking these people who are creators, these people who are known for how they do something or their ideas and putting them into the position of CEO. One of the things I've noticed, I work in tech, okay? One of the things I've noticed is a really good startup CTO is generally not a really good big company CEO, right? There's differences there. When it's five guys in a room, it's easy to command from the front. You can be the one doing all the stuff. You can be planning everything. You can be writing something out. At some point, you can't command from the front. You need to be a person who has a big picture view, who can take things very abstractly and understand what's going on, understand that the way things are working and how they're working. And the question is, I don't know if this is a skill that Mr. Beast has. That would mean that I don't think Mr. Beast is a bad person, but I don't think he's the right person to run his company. I hope that makes sense. Earlier, there was less drama around another YouTuber, Linus Tech Tips. And one of the things that he did is he stepped down as CEO. He didn't step down because of the drama. He stepped down earlier, but when the drama all came about, it just proved the point that he was or he is a great creator, but he might not be the best CEO for a company that's gotten as large as his company's gotten. So sometimes the answer is you need to bring the right people in for the job. And I think in defending Mr. Beast, I've realized that Mr. Beast is not the right person to run Mr. Beast, the company. And in my opinion, my hope is that that is his failing, and that his failing isn't that he's some sort of malicious sociopath who's gotten under everybody's radar and done all these great things just so he can gather more power and eventually take over the world. My hope is that he is truly a good person, a great creator, but someone who isn't that good at running a company. And that's where we're going to leave things because he hasn't made a statement yet. And I think that's actually smart. A lot of people are saying he should make a statement, but where? Anywhere he makes a statement, it's going to be seen by millions, tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of people. He can't do a YouTube video on it because that would go viral. That'd be 100, 200 million views. And that's not the sort of thing that you really want to push out. But Twitter, he's got 30 million people following him on Twitter. Elon Musk apparently gave him ownership of Twitter if something happens to him. Not binding, I'm sure, but there's a tweet about it. He's one of these people that's just everywhere. He's on every social media platform and he has a huge following. So if he needs to make a statement, if he wants to make a statement, there's very few avenues he can go to make such a statement without reaching everybody. And you don't want to keep making statements about the same thing. So he's waiting for Dogpack 404 to drop their last video and then he will make a statement. We don't know what that list video is. We don't know how damning it is. But right now, I'd say I don't think Mr. Beast is the problem. Think I think the problem is that everybody's jumping the gun here and blaming someone for being a horrible human, a bad person, someone who's doing this all on purpose when the reality is they're just not a great CEO, but they are a good person and a good creator. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, this isn't my normal style of video. I probably will never do this again. I just wanted to jump into the ring, throw in my opinion, and hopefully stop people from jumping the gun, make them reconsider things, and also make them realize that when you do commit crimes like this, you will eventually have to pay, and I'm all for that.